Trust Company. My name is Haley Gant, and I work very closely with the rest of our marketing team to help to put on all of these events and webinars for you guys. Now, today we actually do have Nathan Long, the president of Quest Trust Company, teaching today's class over sticky situations in owning real estate in your IRA and how to solve them. But before we get started with today's main class, we do have a couple of special announcements for you guys, and I'm actually really excited to share a little video with you guys that our marketing team has worked very hard to put together over the last couple of weeks. You may hear or see some familiar faces in this video, but Juan, let's go ahead and get this video played for our audience out there, and then I'll come back on and finish up the rest of the announcements.
My goodness, another crazy day at the stock market. With all this uncertainty, how on earth am I going to feel comfortable retiring? There has to be a better way to invest my money safely.
There is.
Who said that?
The disembodied voice in your kitchen.
Oh my! Wait, what other way is there?
It's something called a self-directed IRA.
A self-directed IRA?
Yes.
Well, what does it do then, huh?
This IRA allows you to use your 401k and IRA money to invest in alternative assets, such as real estate, notes, and private entities. The stock market can be volatile, and having alternative investments that you are knowledgeable about in your IRA provides a lot less fluctuation and helps diversify your portfolio, so you don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Well, that sounds like a swell idea. How do I get one of those?
All you have to do to get started is open up an IRA with Quest Trust Company. You can call one of our certified IRA specialists at 855-FUN-IRAs and submit an application online now.
How grand! I think I'll call them right now.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Don't get burned by the stock market this summer. When you open an account with Quest Trust Company, we'll send you a free toaster. That's right. When you open an account right now with Quest Trust Company, you will get a free toaster. Use promo code TOASTER, right? And call 855-FUN-IRAs and talk to a certified IRA specialist right now.
All right, everyone. So there you have it. It is true. We are giving away free toasters all month long whenever you open any new IRA here at Quest. And it's a fun promotion. Apparently, this used to be the really hot thing to do back in the day for banks. And people have actually been really excited about it. We have already given away several, actually. So if you guys want a toaster, they are in limited supply. We are giving them away for free. We'll have them at our events with us. And you guys will probably see that video just a few more times throughout this month as well. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen really quick. Guys, give me just 1 second and let me go ahead and play this. All right, you guys should be able to see that screen okay there. Yeah, guys, we're giving away free toasters. Send us an email, iraspecialist@questtrust.com. We can help you get started. We can help to answer any questions that you might have. And I think we're also going to be doing a nice little promotion where if you are already a Quest client and you are interested in still getting a toaster, leave us a review on Google and we will send one over to you. It's our kind of way to appreciate you and don't get burned by the stock market this summer. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into today's main announcements. Like I said, my name is Haley Gant. I'm one of our IRA specialists, and I work very closely with the rest of our marketing team to put on all of these educational webinars and events that we host. If you want to rewatch today's class, as well as all of our other classes that we host here at Quest, be sure to head on over to our YouTube channel. You can rewatch today's presentation as well as every other class that we've hosted for actually the last several years. And we've got a lot of great information on there, and I'll go ahead and get right into the rest of the announcements. Now, we know on these webinars that we've had a lot of new people joining us every single week. So if you're not familiar with Quest, or if it's your first time joining us, first of all, welcome. If you can't tell, we are a pretty fun company to work with. But at the core of our business, we are a self-directed IRA custodian. We teach investors all across the US how to utilize those old 401ks or IRAs to invest into assets outside of the stock market. So assets such as real estate, notes, and private placements, you can actually hold all of these in in an IRA. And the best part about this is all of the profit that you make from these deals goes back into your IRA, either completely tax deferred or tax free. So no matter where you might be on your investment journey, there's a lot of ways that we can help you here at Quest. And we're very passionate about teaching you guys about how to build wealth through investments into non-traditional assets. We're a pretty good sized company, got about $2 billion in assets under our management. Again, that is all privately held assets that our clients have self-directed their IRAs into. But I do have to give a quick disclaimer, just really quick here at the bottom. Please be aware that at Quest, we do not give tax, legal, or investment advice. Now, we provide a lot of education. We bring in a lot of different guest speakers, and we educate about all different realms of real estate investing. But please make sure that you are taking the time to do your own due diligence before you enter into investments, and make sure that you're taking the time to work with the proper professionals and vet the people that you are investing with, whether it's with your IRA or non-IRA funds. This is so important, and we really cannot stress that enough. Now, that's my little quick tidbit about Quest. I do just have a couple of announcements for you guys, some upcoming events as well here in my announcements. But I did want to make a quick announcement to you guys to be sure to log into our online client portal. If you are currently a Quest client and you have not been utilizing the new features that we've added to the online portal, I would definitely encourage you guys, go log in, go check it out, go explore it a little bit. In the past year and a half, we have added a lot of new features to the online portal. It is safe and secure. The information is encrypted. And it's a really great way to not only upload any expenses that might need to be paid to do with your IRA assets, but you can actually now just upload all of your investment documents completely to the online portal. It takes out a lot of the manual work on our end, and you can actually see real-time updates with your transaction specialist while you are submitting your new investments. So if you have more questions about that, be sure to check out our website. We have an entire page on there dedicated to the online client portal and some frequently asked questions there. But we worked really hard behind the scenes to add a lot of these features in the past year, and I'd love to see you guys utilizing it. But if you have any questions, just let us know. Now, like I was mentioning at the very beginning of these slides, this is just one of many educational classes that we host here at Quest. You can rewatch all of our classes on our YouTube channel. You can read educational articles and watch additional videos on our website. And we host a lot of webinars every single week. We host the weekly webinars. We host a really big self-directed IRA Saturday series. And I am super excited to announce that this August, we are officially bringing back our in-person events. If you are in Houston, Austin, or Dallas, we will be kicking it off the first week of August with grand opening events in all of our offices. Houston will be the first week of August. Austin, I believe, will be the second week, and Dallas will be the third week of August. And we're really excited. We've got some really exciting in-person events planned. But I will let you guys know, if you are not local to our Texas offices, you will still be able to watch all of our classes online. We'll be keeping the schedules very similar to how they are now. And we will continue to host the virtual networking happy hour that you see here on this screen. Guys, if you're looking to network with other investors from all across the US, come join the virtual happy hours. I host a lot of them myself, and at every happy hour, we get anywhere from 50 to 70 investors from across the US that join us. And there's really been some strong conversations that have happened there. And especially if you're new getting into real estate, there's a lot of great faces and connections to be made at these events. Also, coming up this July, this will actually be our last big online conference for several months. This is the July Summer Intensive. It will actually be 3 Fridays in a row. It'll be half days in the morning, so it won't take up your full day. But on each Friday, we are actually going to do a deep dive into the different types of investments that you can hold in an IRA at Quest. The first day will focus all about real estate investing. The second day will be all about private placements. And the third Friday will be all about investing into notes and private lending with your IRA. So tickets are on sale now. They're $25. This is one of our larger scale events that we are putting on, but this is going to be a high level event. I have actually specifically asked all of our speakers to bring a bit more of a complex presentation. It's not going to be the basics, intro, overview event. We're actually going to get deep into some case studies, due diligence, what people are seeing in the market today. And if you can't watch it live, you will get the recordings with your ticket purchase at no additional cost. So quick announcements for today. I kind of took a few of the slides out, but if you're a current client, we have a referral program. We're always happy to help answer your questions for you. And something we really pride ourselves on here at Quest is that we are very easy to get a hold of. To reach out to an IRA specialist, you can call us, you can send us an email, or you can chat live with an IRA specialist directly through our website. So if you joined after we initially started this class, don't forget that we are giving away free toasters all month long. Don't get burned by the stock market. Don't burn your toast. Come to Quest. We will help you in just kind of learning about all of your different options that you have out there for your retirement investments. So Nathan, that's about all that I have for my quick announcements here. Without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Nathan Long, the president of Quest Trust Company, here to teach today's class about sticky problems and solutions. I've definitely just messed that up, but Nathan, take it away. You've got it on your slide, so you've got it.
I got to tell you, that's one of my favorite promotions you're running, of course, is this toaster promotion. I loved when we first started talking about them. Haley, you guys got to understand, we have a very young staff at Quest because what we do is you just can't hire people, so we have to train inside. So we have a big intern program where we train our interns, and then a lot of the interns after college go ahead and stay with us and take a job offer. We have a young staff. They're highly trained, but they're young. And I was like, let's give away a free toaster. And I swear to God, they all just kind of looked at me like really blank stares. They didn't get the reference to giving away a free toaster. And I was like, man, I'm really showing my age here. I said, but luckily, most of our clients aren't as young as you guys. So let's go with this. Anyway, I thought it was funny. So that's why we did it. Was the main reason. But I really like this class. I think it's important. I think that there are problems that do come up in real estate when you own it inside an IRA. And I think that sometimes it's so easy to try to pretend like there's no problems at all, and that's just not true. IRAs can be complicated. And then when you add a complex investment like real estate, there's all different types of ways to make it even more complex. Sometimes sticky situations evolve. So what we're going to do is I'll give a quick little basics. I'm going to kind of run through that really fast, but then I'm going to get into what I think are things that people run into when they're trying to own real estate inside IRAs. Now, let me be clear. I'm specifically talking about rental properties for the most part. Single family, rental properties, condos, that type of situation in this particular class. I have other classes that I do the same thing when I'm talking about commercial property, apartment complexes and those, because those are a different set of circumstances than we run into and straight, either buy and flip or buy and hold in residential property. So that's kind of where my focus is today. Now, this is supposed to be interactive. God, I am so happy that soon I will not be talking to this camera and I'll be able to see you guys live in my classroom. I guess they'll probably still have the camera rolling at the same time. So if you do want to stay home, you can, but I'm going to be happy to actually get back in a classroom and start teaching. But in the meantime, we saw Manny, he was chatting all those things whenever he was trying to get you to open accounts and stuff. That's not his only job. He's with us all the time. If you have a question, you have something that comes up, you comment. Don't wait to the end of my speech. We want this to be interactive. Put it in the chat box. Type it right in there. Manny will pop on and stop me and ask those questions. So don't be afraid, so that we can kind of have a little bit of interaction. So if you have a question, don't keep it to the end. Let's try to answer it as we go along. I think Haley already did it. She did the disclaimer. Listen, guys, Quest makes us money processing transactions, and we are legally obligated to process any transaction that we have the proper written approval from you to do, and that it is not obviously prohibited. We do no due diligence. We're not allowed to do due diligence. I see investments all the time. They go, ooh, that one's kind of dumb. Oh, vested right. Process it. We're legally obligated. So take the time to check out your deals, And the best way to check out a deal, to tell you the truth, is just ask what's going to happen. Ask your person that you're doing the deal with. What happens when it goes wrong? What do you do? What are the exit strategies? A good person, a good investment person is used to those questions. They welcome them, actually. They want to talk about it because they know investment is a risk. It's just learning how to deal with those risks, or instead of pretending like there's no risk or no difficulties or problems at all. Little thing here. My slide. Hello. Sorry, technical difficulties because I lost my mouse. There it comes. All right. Here we go. That's why I said this is the basic part of it. I go, a self-directed IRA really isn't any different than any other type of IRA. I think most of you guys that are on here have heard this. That's why I'm going to go fast. But if you hear something that you need, all right. A self-directed IRA, we just hold private assets versus another company holds publicly traded assets, like Charles Schwab or Fidelity or those type of things. That's really the only difference. There's no real such thing as a self-directed IRA. It's not a type of IRA at all. It's just a marketing term to kind of describe what we have. The benefits allow you to diversify into other markets. I know a lot of my clients over the last year were really happy. They had some of their assets, and especially the ones that are tied into real estate, but also some gas and oil assets did really, really well this year. If you're going to study wealth building, you need to spend time learning about taxes and how to save them. Quest is part of that education and will help you with that. It's just one of the building blocks of investing. But one of the things that I love to talk about, and probably talk about too much, is the social aspect. Whenever I hold real estate investment, I tend to be a lender. I'm not big on actual property management just because I don't like toilets and tenants. But regardless, whether you're buying real estate that's been messed up, or you're lending money on something like that, typically you're lending that's going back into your own community, right? Your work, when you're self-directing, if I lend a person money to fix up a house and buy and fix it up and rent it or sell it, what are they doing? They're taking up life in our community. They're fixing it up. They're making it better, and I like that. I like making above average returns secured by real estate. I kind of like that better. But I also like the fact that what I'm doing has positive social impact. And I think that's something that sometimes people who are trying to raise money don't talk about enough. It actually has a very powerful event. But I think the biggest thing is investing in things that you know and understand. If you're good at buying real estate and you have a 401k, guess what you should own in that 401k? Yeah, real estate. It's absolutely silly. I talk to all these experts, real estate experts, have been doing it for years. I'm like, wow, that's wonderful. So what do you keep in your retirement account? They're like, stocks and bonds. I'm like, why? Like, why would you do that if you have all this knowledge? Invest in the things that you know and understand, and you will always do better. So if a self-directed IRA isn't a type of account, what types of accounts can be self-directed? Well, we have different types of accounts here at Quest that most of them, and we break them up into different categories: personal, employer, and specialty plans. Most of the time, we're talking about personal plans, traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. And that's because all your old employer plans, your 401ks, 403bs, 457s, when you've had separation of service, left that job, those roll into a traditional IRA. We spend a lot of time talking about Roth IRAs, and I think that learning about how Roth conversions is probably one of the most powerful wealth building tools. And having a Roth IRA is absolutely essential for long-term wealth building. It's one of the cornerstones of wealth building, just like having an employer plan at work or whatever. We do have like employer plans that we do. This is typically for people who are either self-employed or small business owners. Will use a lot of SEP IRAs, we use a lot of solo 401ks because there's a lot of advantages to that. But also we have some specialty plans that are amazing. And if you've never seen this class, talking about how to buy real estate using a health savings account or covered health, blow you away. It will absolutely, if you've got knowledge about real estate investing and you're not using a health savings account, boom, it will absolutely blow you away. And what I always like to tell people is you got to learn how to partner these accounts, whether you're borrowing someone's money or you're using it to IRA. The best thing in the world that you could do is learn how to take different people's accounts, because most people don't just have one account, right? You get your Roth IRA, and then you had a traditional IRA. You might have a covered health education account, might have a health savings account, but more importantly, your children and stuff might have IRAs too. I know for my son, a lot of you might meet him. My son is an IRA specialist. He's an extremely good real estate investor. He's been doing it for a long time, and he was always like that. No, that ain't true. That's the biggest lie I've told. Man, I've seen this kid when he was 18 years old. Sorry, Derek. Right? Long hair, and last thing he wanted to do was listen to his dad talk about investing. But what I do, I said, son, guess what? I'm going to give you $5,000. He's like, dude. And I was like, but I'm going to put this in an account, and it's there for your retirement when you get to be over the age of 59 and a half. He's like, dude. So I put money in an account for a Roth IRA with him. And then I would invest it by partnering it, attaching that. So I might buy a piece of real estate, and it might be just a little bit of it would be owned by my son. And I had power of attorney over it. So I controlled the account. And over the years, I would do these different investments. I purposely did different types of investments and would send him a little statement, at the end of the investment, what happened to things. And I don't know, somewhere in there, I think it's about the time that he decided that work was actually hard, somewhere around 23 or 24, it like snapped, right? And he started getting interested in investing. And to this day, he is a certified IRA specialist and does really well. But I mean, the advantages to me were colleges don't teach your children about investing. They don't teach about money. Neither does any other type of school. You really have to take the time as you learn stuff and teach and grow a family. And there's nothing better than partnering together. I share an office with Forrest right there. He's an attorney. He's fussy. Oh my gosh. But he taught me this many, many years ago. And we've been investing and partnering together for, decades now, right? And Forrest is also one of my cousins. And in my family, that's just very common. And it really helps to bring us together. And I spent way too much time on the slide. So I'm moving on, right? What can you invest in self-directed IRA? Well, we're talking mostly about real estate today. And when I talk about real estate, we're talking about the IRA typically owning real estate directly. But at Quest, we kind of break it up into different departments. We have a real estate department that is owning real estate directly, Then we have what we call a private entity. A lot of real estate is owned through an entity, like a limited liability company or a joint venture or trust. So we have a department that just deals with that. And then we have a department that just deals with those that are loaning money. A lot of loans are secured by real estate and stuff, so that we can always have a specialist in those areas to help you as you go through your different transactions. All right, now we're into the meat of it. It didn't take me too long. I did ramble a little bit longer. I'm just going to dive right in. What are some of the problems that we deal in having real estate inside IRAs? I'm going to start with the first one. Do I need to have an LLC formed in order to buy real estate in an IRA? Should I have an LLC? things. Well, let's take a look at it and try to answer the question wholly. One of the things is if we're buying real estate outside of an IRA, we should always have an LLC, or almost always. And why? Well, the idea is if someone falls down and hurt themselves, or you're doing repairs on the property and something happens, whatever, and somebody ends up into a lawsuit, they're suing the LLC. It protects you because it's this house of protection. It doesn't save you from the lawsuit. It just isolates it to that LLC. And so most attorneys would recommend that you use an LLC when purchasing real estate for investment purposes. But when we purchase real estate inside of an IRA, we almost completely wipe that main reason we formed the LLC away. And that's because IRAs are already isolated. They already kind of have their house of protection, and it's a good house. It's very, very hard to pierce that veil of an IRA thing. So we really don't need it for asset protection. So do you need an IRA or probably not, right? And what are the problems if we have one? It goes back to something called disqualified persons. You see, there are people who are disqualified from doing business with the IRA. They can't buy, sell, trade, extend services, or receive a benefit directly or indirectly. Who are these persons? It basically comes down to the IRA owner is the first one. All right. That's right. You are disqualified to your own IRA. And the reason why they do this is they don't want you to use your IRA for benefiting yourself now. Your IRA is for the benefit of your future, right? Or if it's a health savings account, it's for healthcare needs. Or if it's a covered L, it's for education needs. You see what I'm saying? You can take your IRA and buy real estate with it, but you can't live in it because that would be a personal benefit to you. It has to be for the purposes of investment, and all expenses come from the IRA and all the money goes back in. In addition to you, here's where the kicker comes in. I know you've probably heard this part before, but I'm trying to tie it in, right? Is there's a group of people who are equally disqualified to your IRA. Who are those people? It's you, your spouse, your lineal ascendants and descendants, their spouses, and here it comes, companies those people own, control, manage, or highly compensated employees thereof. So if we take an IRA and that IRA then forms an LLC in order to buy property, all right, who's going to be the managing member of that LLC? Or more importantly, who can't be? It can't be you. So there's this distance now between you. You got to put somebody else in there. And who else it can't be? It can't be your spouse, and it can't be your kids, and it can't be your parents, and it can't be their spouses. None of those people can be the managing member. You cannot have that checkbook. You can't do any of the things that you have. So if we have an LLC in there, it may be, and you would hear people go, well, I know Bob, he had a checkbook control IRA and he hadn't had any problem for years and years and years. Oh, really? Well, let's take a look at today, because I know I've been saying this for years and years and years. People have been saying, oh, we've done it and all this stuff. Well, a couple of years ago, something changed in our world. The IRS asked us to collect some additional information. We've always had to tell them what the accounts were worth, but now we have to tell them what the accounts are worth on an annual basis and which accounts have single manager LLCs in them. Why do you think they're looking for that information? Because prohibited transactions are some of the highest fine areas in IRS code. There is a lot of low-hanging fruit for the IRS to come in and scoop and get lots of money, and they're studying how to do it. They've also done a good job in running some stuff up through some bankruptcy courts that are going to strengthen their position. I personally would not put myself in the position of being some of that low hanging fruit. Okay. So what do we do about it? There's other reasons to have an LLC. I'm going to talk about that too. All right. Remember, disqualified people can't buy, sell, trade, loan, extend services, which includes being a managing member to the LLC, or receive a benefit directly or indirectly. Okay. So what's the solutions? Solution one. Some of you might already have a checkbook control. So I want you to call up the IRS and say, oh my goodness, I made a mistake. I had a checkbook control IRA. Do you have to run and fix everything? No, really, all you have to do is take yourself off as a managing member and put someone else on there. Take yourself off the checkbook, never touch the checkbook, just find somebody else to use. I've done this before, and Forrest is a cousin of mine. He could be the trustee of a trust that I've done years ago. So you could use non-disqualified people, someone that you work with, someone else, just can't be those. It can even be your brother or sister or something in a lot of cases, as long as it's not, it could be my brother because I directly work with him and know things. But anyway, in most cases though, when I'm having a discussion with somebody about opening an IRA and then having an LLC underneath it, I always got to ask the question, what are you investing in? Sometimes it's like driving a Mack truck to the grocery store when you can get there in a Volkswagen. Okay. You just don't need it. For example, most of my clients hold 1 to 2 assets inside their IRA. They buy a rental property. They got a rental property inside their IRA with Quest. They have a couple of notes inside of there, or they have a couple of rental properties. In that case, it makes very little sense to go through the expense and trouble of setting up an LLC in order to manage it. You see, one of the other things. Now, let me give you another side of the story, though. Let's say you had 50 properties. I have one client that has 400 and something properties inside of a single IRA. In that case, what happens? Well, how do I make my money as a custodian? Guess what? I charge fees per transactions. So one of the things that one of the reasons to have it is actually so Quest doesn't fee you to death. Okay. If I have 400 things, so if I form an LLC and the IRA owns the LLC, okay, I'm only charging one fee to Quest. That's for the ownership of one asset, the LLC. Now, the LLC can own all these other assets, and it can be easier to administrate. So there's times that you want to have an LLC in there, but ask what you're doing with the account first, because more than likely, if it's just 1 or 2 type of assets, it's probably better just to own it inside our IRA. Like Haley was talking about at the beginning, our systems are very robust now. It's very easy for your renters to sign on and make online payments to you where you can see them getting paid in real time. It's very easy for you to make payments out for taxes and contractors and other types of stuff. It's just easy to manage your account online, and it's typically the cheapest way to go for most people. You just don't need it. If you do need it, then just take the time to set it up properly, right? I honestly suggest using someone like Jeff Watson as an attorney, John Heyer as an attorney. Yes, I'm throwing out actual names, but these are 2 of the rare attorneys out there that actually practice and understand IRA rules and can set up a really good type of LLC that would keep you from being that low-hanging fruit that I talk about. Use one of those, but whatever you do, try to get someone in there that's not a disqualified person. What other thought on this? How about this? That guy I told you about that has over 400 IRAs. I said it was in one account. He's actually got several different IRAs because he spreads it out so he could be spreading out some of those assets. Does he have an LLC inside the IRA? And the answer is no. he holds 400 properties direct purchase through the IRA. I wish he did. Okay, why? Well, he's figured out he could switch to what we call our gold family plan. We have a plan that if you pay $2,400 flat fee per year, you can have as many assets as you want, do as many transactions as you want for that flat fee. Well, for him, all the record keeping that we do and with our systems and all the things, it's much easier for him to actually not have that LLC and use our systems. And for $2,400 a year, he's not going to go away. So thank you, Russell. And thanks. Again, I think I just went over that. One of the things here, you see this word trust here. Typically, you wouldn't use a trust outside an IRA because it doesn't provide any of that asset protection. But again, since an IRA has that asset protection, and if you lived in a state like Texas where trusts are sometimes commonly used, it works pretty good. Manny, you get any questions? I see things flashing up there. If you need to stop, that's okay. One last thing that's really kind of cool is I talked about those different types of account. If you use a solo 401k, you actually can have what we call checkbook control with it. In other words, those rules in that particular account about the account holder not having an account book, it has a specific exception that allows you to do it. So sometimes we don't need to form an LLC. We just have it, move it into a solo 401k. I'll talk about the solo 401k a little bit more in just a minute because it comes up as a solution to another problem that we have, and then we need to understand it. Ooh, I'm going a little over on time. How do we do repairs? All right. Again, you can't go out there and swing the hammer. If you do that, you're extending a service to the IRA. Okay. You can do all the cognizant work. You can find renters. You can hire contractors. But as soon as you go out there and swing the hammer, so how do you deal with repairs inside an IRA, especially if you're doing like a big rehab? Well, there's different ways. One thing that I like to do is suggest using a property manager or a general contractor. Remember, we can just cut one check to a property manager, and that property manager can't be a disqualified person, but it could be just about anybody, you know, right? As long as they're not on that disqualified person list. You can have a property manager then open a checking account for you or hold that check at a special thing and then write out all the different checks to different contractors until you go through your rehab. I'm telling you, with the new online systems and stuff, it's so much easier to submit payments and do payments. I'm finding more and more people just don't even need that as a solution in there. They're able to quickly be able to get payments and checks and everything out that they need. And so it's pretty easy on there, right? Here's another thing. Sometimes you might have a rental property and something breaks over the weekend. I mean, you can't, go get a check from Quest. You got to go fix it or something like that. Never call up and say, hey, I did a repair on the property. I spent this money and I need to get reimbursed. We cannot reimburse you, right? Now, we could reimburse your brother. If he went out there and fixed that, we could, you could give a personal check to a plumber and tell them that on Monday, we're going to switch that out with a check from Quest. You can do all those type of things, right? But remember, Quest has a reporting requirement. If we see prohibited transactions, we're supposed to report those to the government. So please don't call up and say, hey, I did these repairs. Can you please cut back the money? That's not going to work, right? You should try to always get it correctly into your IRA, but be careful of that, right? Again, can you do your own repairs? No, you cannot. No. Here's one that I see happen a lot is, anybody ever go over on a rehab? Well, if you haven't, then you haven't been doing real estate investing for very long, of course. It's true. So almost everything costs more and takes longer, especially in today's market with housing prices going up and up and up, right? So what happens if you go over on a rehab? Well, the problem is an IRA is not like you. If I go over and I just own a house outside an IRA, what do? I just break out the Home Depot credit card and slam it and finish out the rehab. I can't take my money and mix it with my IRA money after the fact like that. So this is going to create a problem. So what's the solution? First thing, pick up the phone and call someone at Quest. Even if you're not a Quest client, just talk to one of our IRA specialists. Sometimes we can talk to you and figure out how to get some more money into your account that you hadn't thought of by transferring some money from another existing account or doing a rollover. Remember, IRA specialists spend 4 years in training about IRAs. Even if you think you know a lot about it, seen all of our webinars, you probably don't have their level of expertise. So talk to them about it. It's always free to talk to an IRA specialist at Quest, whether you're a client or not, right? And so we can make contributions, do rollovers. But one of the other things is sometimes we can borrow the money. And this often works as long as it's a non-recourse loan. In other words, I'm not putting my credit on. We can go to someone like North American Savings Bank. They like to loan to IRAs, right? Or just a private lender that is not on your disqualified person list. I do a lot of investing with Forrest. If I had ran into this situation, I could go over to him and say, hey, Forrest, I need $10,000 to finish this off. Would you take a second on this property? Or would you take a first if it was a cash property to finish it off? And he would give me a short-term loan. I pay him a little bit of interest so I could finish it out. And vice versa, of course, I would do the same for him. Forrest definitely doesn't deal with toilets and tenants anymore. I can tell you that, right? Never, ever, ever use your own money. Never do it. It's not going to work. It's going to end up bad. It's considered an illegal contribution into your IRA. Hey, I'm a realtor. Can I list the property myself? This answer might surprise you. I would say yes. There could be arguments against it both ways. I can get enough people in the room, but I've never seen anyone get in trouble for listing the property. But you cannot receive a commission. As soon as you receive a commission on that property, you received a benefit. Because commission is awful beneficial. We can spend it, right? It's an easy benefit to prove. So you can list the property. My wife is an attorney, Forrest is an attorney. They often represent their own property, and either drawing the note in deed of trust or in a foreclosure situation. That would be fine. But once again, couldn't receive an attorney fee, couldn't receive a commission. Remember, you have a fiduciary responsibility to your IRA to bring all your cognizant powers to bear on this account to make it grow and be stronger and better for your retirement. You just can't receive a benefit directly or indirectly right now, right? Or make an illegal contribution. So they kind of deem that this is using your mental powers to grow that. And I've never seen anyone get caught or have a problem in that area. Could I be a property manager? Yes, you can do all the duties of a property manager, but once again, what's the problem? It comes into collecting the rents and making the payments. You can never have that money flow through you, or sometimes what you do is you have a property management account outside of your IRA. You say, this is my property management company. Well, whose company is it? Oh, it's yours. So that company is disqualified. What's the solution there in that? Just carve off one of your employees out of that company, have them hold a separate little checking account, and personally, they be your property manager rather than that company. Separate it out. Never, 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 unless you have a solo 401k, never be anywhere near the checkbook. And again, our systems are very robust, it's very easy. Once you learn them for people to make payments in and to make payments out of there. Just learn them and it works. Okay, great. This is the worst thing I'm going to talk about all day. I've heard someone tell me that if I buy real estate inside of an IRA, it can be taxable. Guess what? It's true. So we're going to look at, and it can be taxable. That's a very important word inside of here. He said, well, I thought all investments inside IRA aren't taxable. Let's talk about it. So we have to take a minute. And again, we're going to describe the problem, and then I'm going to get into different solutions. And this is the other thing. So what creates tax to an IRA? And to be clear, this isn't your tax as a person. Your IRA has to fill out its own tax return and pay tax. Well, that is when we own a business inside an IRA. Imagine owning an ice cream shop inside an IRA, right? I could sell my ice cream cheaper because a Roth IRA is completely tax-free. Does that make sense? So it's an unfair business. So it's not illegal. It's not prohibited. It's not even penalty to own a business in an IRA. It just means that if you do that, the income that that business produced is going to be subject to unrelated business income tax, right? And this can be taxed at a very high rate, somewhere around $12,000. You're paying top income tax rates. Everyone follow that? I'm buying real estate. I'm not running a business, and you are absolutely correct. Investing in real estate is not running a business. They do deem buying mobile homes and selling them as running a business. Now, if the mobile home comes with a deed, in other words, it's attached to a piece of land, then it's real estate. If you're just selling the box and there's no land underneath it that comes along with it, it's not a deed, it's a title, right? That is running a business. Tons of people do it inside IRAs. Why? Because it's very, very profitable. And even after paying the tax, they do very well. But again, we're talking about real estate, so that doesn't get us. But there is another side to this law that does get it. And it's called UDFI, right? Unrelated debt financed income. Let me see if I can explain it to you in a simple story. You went out and bought a house in your IRA, and the house cost $100,000. You didn't have $100,000, you had $40,000. You put $40,000 down. All right. So I put $40,000 down. At that time, we are 60% debt leveraged when we bought that property. We went to North American Savings Bank. Another plug for North American Savings Bank. I actually really love them. I also love their website. It's got a lot of education on NASB.com. So I bought this property. I'm 60% debt leveraged. Now, the very next day, I was able to sell the property for $200,000, realizing a gain of $100,000. Yay me. But there's a problem. Because I was 60% debt leveraged, what happens is $40,000 goes to the IRA tax-free, but the rest of it is subject to income tax to the IRA. Well, would it be capital gains tax? No, because in my story, I held it only for 1 day. If I had held it over a year, then I would switch to a capital gains rate. Everyone follow that? But I didn't. So I moved to ordinary income tax, and I got taxed at a very high rate. And that $60,000 basically got split with Uncle Sam. I always ask people, would you do that deal? And it's amazing to me. Everyone goes, no way. I wouldn't do that. I'm like, did you listen to my story? I started with $40,000. In 1 day, I got my $40,000 back. Then I got another $40,000, and then I split $60,000 with Uncle Sam. Sign me up. I would do it every day of the week if I could. The problem with it is my story's not real, not the tax in the story. So, but people miss that. Sometimes they're just hear the word tax and they shut down. Now, again, I'm telling this story to describe the problem. Now we get to get into the solutions. All right. Now, don't be confused. If I buy real estate from my IRA and I pay cash, there's no taxes on it. This only is affected by debt leverage, and it also affects commercial properties. So I talk a lot about this in my problems and solutions of commercial properties as well, right? From there. So let's start with solution 1, depreciation. That's strange. Why are you saying depreciation? I talked to my CPA, and he told me I would never buy real estate inside an IRA. I go, why not? Well, because you lose one of the most powerful benefits of owning real estate inside an IRA, which is depreciation. And that's actually true. But I always get confused by that statement. It's usually a really smart guy that's saying it, like a CPA or a tax planner or a tax advisor, because they're missing the analysis. It's like, listen here, smart guy. I've got this big old bag of money. The bag of money, I'm not making the choice whether I buy this real estate in my IRA or outside my IRA. I've got to make a choice of what to do with this bag of money, and it's inside my IRA. And if I bought real estate, I do pretty good at it. So I can buy low, and I'm pretty good at fixing it up, and I hold. So I work the rents and appreciation. And when I die, that little bag of money is going to be a great big bag of money. But if I took that same bag of money, I invested in stock, bonds, and mutual fund, I'm not very good at that. So I'd be really conservative. So when I got older, I'd have a little bag of money. Now, Mr. Smart Guy, isn't a big bag of money better than a little bag of money? They've literally lost they've lost the analysis through the trees. And here's the really important part to understand. Why is it we can't use depreciation inside an IRA? There's no taxes. You can't get a tax break unless you have a taxable situation. Well, guess what? We just created a taxable situation, so all of those tax laws kick in. But it's magic inside an IRA. There's something that's completely different. Okay, let me explain. Outside an IRA, if I use depreciation, I'm reducing my basis in the property. And when I sell that property, eventually I will recapture it. So depreciation doesn't actually make tax go away at all. It just pushes it off to the future. And then we use 1031 exchanges, swap till you drop, that type of program. Let's jump back into the IRA world. Remember, I'm only taxed on my debt leverage percentage. In my story, I started at 60%, but let's say instead of selling the property in one day, I do what most of you do. I buy the property, I'm renting out, and I'm cash flowing. I got enough money coming in to pay the rents and the repairs and some money left over. See what's happening? And over time, I'll pay off that property and the property go up in value and I make lots of money. That's the play. Well, once I go to that 1 year, I move to a capital gains rate. But again, now I could start to use on that money, the difference that a profit I'm making, I could use depreciation to push that taxation off into the future. But what's happening? Remember, you're only taxed on debt leverage percentage. If I started at 60%, am I at 60% all the way through? No, I'm paying that property off. And eventually I'll get to an average indebtedness of 0. In other words, I completely paid the property off or had it paid off for a year. So if I wait to sell the property until the property is paid off, how much tax do I have to pay? That's correct. Quite often in just residential real estate type of property, the tax problem is a paperwork problem and not even a tax problem at all. A lot of us can completely avoid the taxes through the use of depreciation. That doesn't work with every strategy. Sometimes we're selling the property faster. Sometimes we're like a commercial property, adding more debt. But for some people, just the simple use of depreciation will solve this problem of taxes. And sometimes what we've done in the past is use a taxable entity. This works more in commercial property. In other words, typically if I involve myself into like an LLC, that's what we call a pass-through entity. The taxes pass through to the beneficial owner with no benefit. And typically that's what we like to use when we're buying real estate, because if we paid tax like at a C corporation, we pay tax at the top. If we're an individual and that money comes to us, we pay tax again, right? But sometimes what we can do is form a C corporation or a taxable entity, and then we pay the C corporation tax. It doesn't really make the tax go away, but you can often greatly reduce the amount that you're paying in tax through the benefit. And remember, corporate tax, you don't pay that top rate till you get way up there in profit versus somewhere around $12,000 here. So in some solutions, we use a C corporation on there. But here is what I call the magic bullet, and I've already mentioned it. Yep, it's the solo 401k. Guys, this is a cool account for the right people, because if I purchased real estate inside a solo 401k and I hold it, there is a 1 year hold in there. I can't do it with a quick flip, but there is a specific exemption to this tax. It literally just goes away. Poof. You go, wow, Nathan, that's cool. Why didn't you tell me about that? Why didn't we start the whole thing with that? Right? And I said, because the 401k comes with its own set of problems and solutions itself. And the biggest one really comes down to legitimizing. You see, you can't just have a solo 401k because you want one, right? You actually have to have self-employment income. So, and And that self-employment income doesn't need to be your primary income. Some of my clients may have a W-2 job, but then maybe they do some consulting or they're a realtor on the side. So they have some other income. They could use that to start a solo 401k, but you actually have to have solo private income. And I see people selling these solo 401ks out there for a lot of money, by the way. And they forget to tell the people they need to legitimize it. So they open it, they move all their IRAs in. That's a rollover contribution, and that won't legitimize it. You have to, the first year you have that IRA, you have to show self-employment income on your tax, or the solo 401k, not IRA. You got to show that on your tax return that you have solo income that you've paid tax on, right? Schedule C or something along those lines. And you have to make a current year contribution into that solo 401k. That's the legitimizing process. Talk to an IRA specialist to understand that. But there's other problems that it comes with. Unlike IRAs, you have to do your own government reporting. There's a lot of dangerous responsibility dealing with. It's easy to do a prohibited transaction because you don't have an IRA specialist right there looking over your shoulder, and a lot of record keeping is needed. Also, another problem is you can't have anything what we call common law employees. Like I couldn't do what I just described. I'm a W-2 employee of Quest, but I'm also one of the principals of Quest. I own Quest. And so therefore, I couldn't have a solo 401k out because of something that's called grouping rules. Grouping rules mean that you have to have the same set of benefits for all your employees in all the companies that you may own. So if you own a company that has employees, you also wouldn't qualify for a solo 401k. So a lot of people can't get one, or it's really difficult to get one. But if you're thinking it still sounds cool, talk to an IRA specialist because they might have some ideas on ways to get there and stuff. And there are so many advantages to it, including checkbook control that I eliminated, talked about earlier, large contribution limits. You can even loan money to a limited extent to yourself from one of these accounts, which you can't do in that. But the biggest thing is an exemption on unrelated business income tax, UDFI. My God, guys, I hope someone's listening and the things going on. You want the ultimate investment strategy. I'm giving it to you right now. You take a 401k, you move your IRA into it. After it's in the 401k, you convert it to a Roth IRA or make Roth IRA contributions to get the money into it there. You can't move a Roth IRA into a Roth 401k. It's odd. We're trying to get that changed in Congress right now, but you can't. But we can do a conversion inside. So now I've got money that will grow tax-free. Now I'm going to buy a piece of real estate. Why so magic about real estate? Because I get to burn the candle at both ends of the stick. I get appreciation and I get cash flow. Appreciation and cash flow at the exact same time, right? If I'm a good property manager, that's magic. Now we add the next step on it. So we're growing tax-free. We own real estate. Now we're going to use someone else's money to buy it and then get an exemption against that taxation that occurs. Someone else's money, growing tax-free on something that's getting cash flowing and appreciation. Put that one together and you got the ultimate investment in my book. We have a lot of information, and then there are select IRA specialists here at Quest that are 401k experts. My son being one of them, Miss Rebecca Miller, who is our Gold Family Specialist, is one of them, and Juan Deshawn, and myself. But they're better than me, and they're easier to get on the phone. But anyway, I really hope that you've enjoyed the education here. We try to here at Quest give what I call real education. We don't try to hide from the issues. We try to put them out there and try to give you real life answers to the real life problems you're having. And if you have problems, you need education about it, talk to my marketing team. They'll listen to you. They'll hear you. They'll help you. And if you're out there and you're having a problem with anybody, even if you're not a Quest client, just pick up the phone and call us. We'll be happy to share our education with you, whether you're a client or not. I know that our customer service, our systems, and my staff will win you over more than anything else ever out there. And for God's sakes, man, we have free toasters. What other reason is out there to get to buy an IRA? So take some time, contact your IRA specialist, call 855, or you can just jump online. And I guess I'd ask for one last thing. I've been saying this a lot at the end of my classes. Oops, I disappeared. I've been saying that a lot at the end of my classes is, what did you guys do for 2020? How did you survive? What was your IRA custodian like if you had a different one? Man, that was a tough time for us. We marketed ourselves through events. We couldn't do events anymore. People were taking money out of retirement accounts left and right because they had lost their job. Money was bleeding out of retirement accounts. Most of my clients invest in real estate and foreclosure markets, and everything else had seized up. It had stopped. It wasn't there anymore. What would you do? Right? Running a company, the president of a company like this. Well, look, I think that it's good to take a look at what Quest did. Because I think that what defines you isn't how you act when everything's going well. It's really easy to be cool when you're rich and good looking, right? But then there's the world for the rest of us. So what do Quest do? Well, we take our employees very, very seriously. They're our greatest asset. We spend time educating them on stuff, and we knew this was going to be hard on them. The first thing that we did is we added 5 extra personal days to every single employee in case they were having family emergencies. We took our very robust technology and IT department, and we were able to develop work from home stations throughout, and had a very secure work from home thing within days. I had most of my staff working from home, and then spread out. Here in the office, we put these air filters in to help filter the air. I continue to use them. As I study, there's a lot of pollution, I guess, that happens in an office type of space environment through all the things that go on there. We actually did our own stimulus package. All our employees that make less than $100,000 got an extra check this last year to just try to help. All of this while the company was doing. How did we do this? We were also in a restricted environment. We had to make a certain amount of profit in order to meet Texas banking regulator stuff. We're privately owned. There's no extra money. People go, oh, you just got money from somewhere else. How did Quest survive and get there and do all of those things? And if someone asked me, I would honestly have to tell you, I don't know. I think it's amazing that we did. And the reason why I don't know is because we at Quest are what we call an open book company. My employees get to see all of our financials at any time they want. We have a financial meeting, we share. We simply went to my employees and said, this is what we're facing. This is it. It's literally hard for me to talk about this without getting choked up because, man, what they did, they just figured it out. They went in and started doing all these events. You met Haley. I mean, she's got so many online events, and we started doing that. We started getting education out there. We started trying to help the people that job, and things started to turn around, right? And they did things to cut costs just to help. I don't know if they used less post note. And as we got around to the end of the year, we made our goal. We made our goal. We didn't have to go to the Texas Banking Commission and tell them that we didn't make it, that we didn't have enough restricted capital. We didn't have to face being shut down. But if we didn't make it and we failed, we would have failed together too. The people you surround yourself with directly affect how successful you're going to be. And I'm so proud of the people at Quest. Very proud. Very proud of you, Haley, even if you're a pain. So think about that when you think about who you want to do business with. I hope this was fun. I hope you guys get yourself a toaster, and thank you very much.
Nathan.
Hey, man.
Towards the end of the call now, we just have a question that popped up.
Sure.
It's a 2-part question. The first part, is there a minimum amount of self-employment income that can be earned in order to have and use the solo 401k?
That's a great question. And the answer is there's no guidance on that at all. Okay. So really, no. I've seen people do it with just a few $100s. All right. Now you definitely need to report it in on that. So no, there is no minimum amount of thing. And what a great question. You could actually have a small amount of income, make a small contribution. That takes care of the legitimizing process. Thank you for that question.
Great. The second part to that question, are there required business entities needed for the business in order to operate a solo
Absolutely
401k?
No, absolutely not. A solo 401k can be operated under just straight Schedule C income if you simply had a commission or something like that, or it could be operated under a W-2 company you own and everything in between. It really doesn't matter as long as it's self-employment income and you don't have those common law employees that I referred to earlier. Great questions. Thank you.
Awesome.
Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
That's it. That's all you had? Cool.
Yes,
Is Haley coming back?
Who, me?
Who, me? Hey, Haley, did I embarrass you?
Not at all.
But it was
Love when
true.
you-
It was a tough time.
Mhm.
And we are really proud of how we performed through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Quest is a great company to work for. We're all very fortunate for the way things have gone the past year with Quest, I guess. It's been a lot of fun. Did a lot of webinars. I'm excited to get back in person.
Oh my God. I hope this is the last one I ever have to do. I don't think it is, but
It's not. Trust me, it's not. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone
All right.
for joining us today. Y'all be sure to check out our other events. We have a virtual happy hour tomorrow
how do
night.
they get a hold of an IRA specialist? Go with that real quick.
Yeah, IRA specialists at questtrust.com. Manny has put it in the chat several times, or give us a call. Go to questtrust.com and you can chat live with an IRA specialist right there through our website. That's all I got.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.